Let's now try and understand the distance between two consecutive antinodes, distance between two consecutive nodes, and also the difference between consecutive antinode and node. Since it's a cos curve, it's like this. It starts from here and it begins with antinode. We already found out for an antinode it is x1, x2, x3 we found out was 0, lambda 2, lambda and 3 lambda by 2. Alright, so it was 0, then this was lambda by 2 and this was lambda, and later on if we go for another one that would be 3 lambda by 2. So that's what we already found out. Now let's find out the difference between two consecutive antinodes. Now if we see this diagram, it is lambda by 4 plus lambda by 4, 2 lambda by 4, so that is lambda by 2. Now let's see whether we get it via calculation. Now see, so lambda by 2 minus 0, lambda by 2 minus 0, lambda by 2. Alright, then in this case we subtract this from this, so it is lambda minus lambda by 2 is lambda by 2. Then again this minus this, so 3 lambda by 2 minus lambda is equal to lambda by 2. So proved that the difference between two antinodes is lambda by 2. Alright, now let's check out for nodes also. In case of nodes, see here I have written an, that represents antinode, and here I have written n in subscript, that corresponds to nodes. Okay, anyways, so let's find out now. So these are what it is. So for nodes, this was lambda by 4. The next node came over here, that was lambda by 4, lambda by 4, lambda 3 lambda by 4, and the next node came over here, so it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lambda by 4, and so on and so forth. So now let's find out the difference. If I call this as x2 and this as x1, then when we take the difference, what we end up with is 3 lambda by 4 minus lambda by 4, that is 2 lambda by 4, which is equal to lambda by 2. Identically, if we carry out the differences between this and this and this, everywhere we would find that it is lambda by 2. Okay, so let's take difference between these two. So lambda by 4 plus lambda by 4, that is 2 lambda by 4, that is lambda by 2. Again, if we take difference between these two, then it is again lambda by 4 plus lambda by 4, 2 lambda by 4, that is lambda by 2. Okay, so confirmed. What we saw and what we calculated were same. Now let us find the difference in displacement between antinode and node, consecutives. Alright, so let's see how it goes. What we have to do is we have got to take 1 of node minus 1 of antinode. Now see, if you see the diagram, antinode was 0 and node was at lambda by 4. So when we take the difference, it comes to lambda by 4. So the difference between consecutive antinode and node, rather I would say node and antinode, is lambda by 4. Again, let's check out here. In this case, again, if we see, it is 3 lambda by 4 minus lambda by 2. So this is, if we take out, now in next case, if we take out from here to here, it is 3 lambda by 4 minus lambda by 2. 3 lambda by 4 minus lambda by 2. So it would be what? 3 minus 2 upon 4 lambda, that is lambda by 4. Similarly, if we calculate for the differences between consecutive nodes and antinodes, we would find that the difference between node and consecutive node and antinode would be lambda by 4. So what we conclude is, what we see, we have derived it through our mathematical means also. So difference between consecutive antinode and node and antinode is always lambda by 4. That's what we see over here also. Then the difference between two antinodes is lambda by 2. The difference between two nodes is also lambda by 2. Got to keep these things in mind. Okay.